Good afternoon. This is news around the world on Pensioners 106.7 FM. Agbarigo Onireke Ibadan. I am ABIOLA AYODELE. First, the top stories. Supreme Court fixes 3 p.m. to give judgment on Imo governorship review. Morocco confirms first case of coronavirus. United States places new restrictions on Chinese journalists. And in sport, storage devastated over 4 months ban. Now the news in full. The Supreme Court has fixed 3 p.m. today to deliver judgment on the application filed by the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and its candidate, Mr. Emeka Ihedioha, over the January 14, 2020 judgment which sacked him as the governor of Imo State. Mr. Ihedioha and the PDP in their applications claimed that the judgment of the Apex Court, which installed Senator Hope Uzodinma as the governor of Imo State, was obtained by fraud. They are therefore praying the 7-man panel of the Apex Court to review and set aside the judgment. The panel, headed by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Tanko Mohammed, had heard the application earlier in the day before it would come back to give its judgment by 3 p.m. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has given an assurance that the federal government would soon develop a clear-cut set of strategies to curb proliferation of small and light weapons in the country. Osinbajo gave the assurance at a meeting with top security chiefs and members of the Presidential Committee on Small Arms and Light Weapons in Abuja. According to a statement by his media aide, Laolua Konde, Osinbajo chaired the inaugural meeting of the committee in line with the directive of the president. The vice president decried that the proliferation of small arms fueled the insurgency in the northeast and other security challenges in the country. The Minister of Health, Osage Hanere, says the coronavirus index case in Lagos is responding very well to treatment at the Infectious Diseases Hospital in Yaba, Lagos State. The minister, who spoke at a news conference in Abuja, maintained that all who had contact with the index case, both in Lagos and Ogun State, are currently being managed as none of the suspected cases has tested positive to the virus. He also noted that all suspected cases in Plateau State, where the state's Ministry of Health quarantined about 40 persons who came in contact with a Chinese minor, are under close monitoring.
As at the 1st of March, there is no new confirmed case in Nigeria. About 13 or 14 tests have been done, and except that one patient, no other person has been diagnosed. Currently, the contacts of the index case are identified as 19 contacts in Lagos, 39 contacts in Ogun State. We are in touch with these contacts who are under supervised self-isolation, and the states have provided them with temperature monitoring tools. We have also deployed National Rapid Response Teams from NCDC who are working closely with all the states.
Meanwhile, the minister advised the public against panicking and assured citizens of the federal government's preparedness to contain the virus. Meanwhile, the federal government has warned that it will deal with any foreign airline that violated coronavirus screening procedures for passengers arriving in the country. The Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, was said to have given the warning in Abuja at the interministerial meeting on coronavirus. Sirika stated this just as there were indications that the government was facing obstacles in tracing some of the people who had contact with the first coronavirus index case. The Minister of Health, Dr. Sage Hanere, while briefing journalists in Abuja, said some passengers who were on the same Turkish Airlines flight with the first index case, an Italian businessman, gave telephone numbers that were not working. Oyo State government has mandated all commercial vehicles, tricycles and motorbikes operators to comply with the state's official color within 14 days or face sanction. The chairman of Oyo State Road and Transport Management Authority, OITMA, Dr. Akin Fagbemi, gave the warning in a meeting with stakeholders in Ibadan. Dr. Fagbemi also hinted on plans to create and align various commercial transporters into designated routes for orderliness and ease of mobility in the state. Oitman boss noted that the directive was for security reasons and to differentiate between authentic transporters and imposters who would hide under different guise to carry out nefarious acts.
But we are going to give them a grace of 14 days. Painting all these vehicles does not take more than 3, 4, 5, 6 days. But for now, we want to enforce it such that it will help us to know those tricycles, motorcycles and the micras that are meant for the state. And those ones that are not for the state, we identify them and know how to sort them out.
Representatives of the various stakeholders and associations applauded the state government for the initiative and pledged to ensure their members comply within the specified time frame. Meanwhile, months after Oyo State government banned 2 passengers on commercial motorcycles and in front of tricycles and commercial vehicles, the enforcement appears to have tightened up in the Akpata area of Ibadan, the capital city of the state. Our correspondent, Olarinsayo Oweye, reports that men from the mobile police were seen this morning arresting transporters who flaunted the directive. According to her, this made most of the commercial riders to temporarily stop work. Most passengers were said to have been stranded by the action, leading to a hike in fare in the area. It was reported that most people got to their workplaces late as a result of the enforcement. It is still news around the world on Pensioners 106.7 FM. Let's now talk some labor and pension matters. The need for early payment of pensioners under the Contributory Pension Scheme formed part of a recent meeting between members of the Nigeria Union of Pensioners (NUP) from the 6 geopolitical zones and the Senate Committee on Public Service and Pension in Abuja. Presenting a paper on behalf of the Southwest Zone, the Public Relations Officer of NUP in the zone, Comrade Olusegun Abaton, while applauding the Contributory Pension Scheme, however, said its implementation has become a sore thumb to the concerned pensioners. He said the problem lies in the federal government's inability to pay promptly the accruals to these pensioners. Comrade Abaton noted that the non-payment accruals was the reason most state workers do not want to key into the scheme, urging the Senate to look critically into the issue. Responding, the chairman, Senate Committee on Public Service and Establishment, Senator Ibrahim Shekarau, agreed that the federal government was owing this group of pensioners about 400 billion naira and that something needs to be done urgently. During the meeting, both parties also discussed the minimum pension and the need for the restoration of 5% counterpart fund to local government pension board by the federal government. Non-teaching staff universities have threatened that they may no longer guarantee industrial harmony in the institutions if the federal government continue to delay the payment of the new minimum wage to them. In a statement in Abuja, the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, expressed dismay that after the federal government and the organized labor concluded negotiations on the new minimum wage and the consequential adjustment, the university workers were yet to be paid the new wage. SANU, in the statement signed by its National Public Relations Officer (NPRO), Comrade Salam Abdul-Sobor, said that it was unfortunate that while workers in other sectors have started enjoying the new wage, university workers appeared to have been forgotten. Stronger employers in the United Kingdom will be required to clear any pension deficit within 6 years under a shake-up of the funding regime for thousands of company retirement schemes unveiled by the industry regulator. Currently, employers sponsoring traditional defined benefit pension schemes, which promise to pay members a regular inflation-linked retirement income for as long as they or their surviving spouse leave, do not have a prescribed time frame to clear any shortfall in the scheme's finances. However, 7 years is an industry median for implementing a recovery plan after an employer and its pension trustees identify a shortfall during a regular violation of the scheme. But on Tuesday, the pensions regulator proposed that schemes backed by stronger employers should have deficit recovery plans of no longer than 6 years, with the weakest employers having up to 12 years to clear their shortfalls. It is still news around the world on Pensioners 106.7 FM. Now to other stories. Morocco's health minister Abdelatif El Maki has confirmed the country's first coronavirus case. According to the state-owned Maghreb agency press, the case was confirmed after tests at the Institut Pasteur Maroc returned positive. According to reports, the patient is a Moroccan man living in Italy and he is receiving treatment at a hospital in Casablanca. News of Morocco's first patient coincides with similar confirmations in Tunisia and Senegal. 4 more people have died in a coronavirus outbreak in Washington state, bringing the total fatalities there to 6. These are the first deaths due to coronavirus on United States soil. Washington declared a state of emergency over the weekend. 5 of the deaths occurred in King County, whose main city is Seattle. There are now 18 confirmed cases in the region, and there are growing fears it may spread further. In the meantime, United States Secretary Mike Pompeo says in a statement that 5 media outlets, including China's official news agency Xinhua, would be required to reduce their total number of staff to 100 from 160. The move is to limit the number of reporters being seen as a retaliation for Beijing's expulsion of 2 United States journalists last month. 5 Chinese state outlets will be forced to reduce their United States staff by 40%. The U.S. State Department said it was hearing of increasing harassment and surveillance of American and other foreign journalists in China. Australian supermarket shelves are being stripped of supplies due to coronavirus concerns. Toilet paper, hand sanitizers and face masks are among the items mostly in demand. There are fears that key items may run out, but authorities insist there is no need to panic buy. More than 30 cases of coronavirus have been confirmed in Australia, including 1 case of human-to-human transmission. You are still on to news around the world on Pensioners 106.7 FM. We will be back with entertainment and sports stories shortly. Welcome back. On the entertainment scene, one of America's most famous news anchors has abruptly quit days after a female guest on his show alleged he made inappropriate remarks. A veteran host at liberal cable channel MSNBC, Chris Matthews, said Hardball's show was his last. Last month, he apologized after likening a Democratic presidential contender's victory to the Nazi invasion of Europe. Once a speechwriter for President Jimmy Carter, Matthews launched his political talk show in 1997. And now moving to the world of sport, former Liverpool striker Daniel Sturridge says he is devastated after being banned from football for 4 months over breaching betting rules. Sturridge was originally given a 6-week ban last summer, 4 of them suspended, but the Football Association appealed against the findings of an independent commission. An appeal board also doubled the 30-year-old's fine to €150,000. To end news around the world on Pensioners 106.7 FM, here is a recap of the main stories. The Supreme Court has fixed 3 p.m. today to give its judgment on Imo State governorship review. Morocco's health minister, Abdelatif El Maki, has confirmed the country's first coronavirus case. United States Secretary Mike Pompeo has said 5 media outlets, including China's official news agency Xinhua, would be required to reduce their total number of staff to 100 from 160. Former Liverpool striker Daniel Sturridge has said he is devastated after being banned from football for 4 months for breaching the betting rules. For any information, contact us on these mobile numbers 0812-008-6270 or 0802-237-3535 or visit us at Oyo State Pensioners House, Agbarigo, Onireke, Ibadan. The news editor is Michael Adeyemo. On behalf of the production crew, I am ABIOLA AYODELE. Good afternoon.
From the rising to the setting of the sun, here is the first labor radio in Africa. Pensioners
106.7 FM.
Agbarigo Nireke Ibadan. A station for the elderly, the youths, the teenagers, and in fact, our children. It is a station for all. So come patronize us on Pensioners
106.7 FM.
Ibadan. All corporate organizations, ministries, departments, and agencies of government, government parastate